Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, we are talking about ignorance. Ignorance when it comes to those individuals who are angry with that group of people. So, the title of this message is When They Are Angry at That Group of People. And that group of people could be any group that they have been in battles with, any group that has offended them, any group that back in the day insulted them, disrespected them. It could have been some childhood issues, and then as they got older, they wanted to distance themselves from that group of people. Now, whatever the ethnicity is, because we are going to zero in on the ethnicity of some people that, frankly put, folks don't like, whatever the ethnicity is, it is not Christian-like to be angry at a whole group of folks because they offended you, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your aunt, or whoever, and then take on a negative countenance or give off a pessimistic attitude onto others who have not offended you. Now, I know that this particular message is going to step on some people because they've been guilty as charged. They became angry with an entire group of people all over again. They may have once been okay and all right, but then got angry all over again because some people, a place, or a thing offended them, triggered some reaction rather than a response in them. And there's a lot of that that's going on in the media right now. And when you connect some of the media stuff with white power groups and supporting all sorts of racist or hidden racist types of agendas, when you see all of this, you can connect the dots to what's happening out there in the neighborhood, on the street, at home. There's an anger that's welling up in people. I thought I was okay and all right with this ethnicity, with this group, until they got bold and said this or said that. I thought that God had me right where I needed to be in terms of loving others, but it's hard when you find out, and this happened twice this year already, it's hard to keep that sort of love when your kids have been called names. Names that don't even in the least bit describe them. Insults hurled at them, and they didn't even say anything. It's just that somebody thought it was funny to call them a name. And they didn't get the laughs that they thought. Instead, they got some folks ready to whip on them. Okay? And I'm not going to throw out any names on this audio message. And I don't want to trigger anything within anybody to the point where they want to go out there and do something. All I want is for you to recognize that when the insults come, and they will come if you haven't experienced them yet for your particular ethnicity in a long, long time, or maybe never, when they come, you don't want to be that one that's reactive. That's reactive, not just on the one who's guilty, but on the ones who are not guilty. Why do we have to create a divide between each other? Because this thing happened with so-and-so. Didn't even really happen with the person who's telling the story, but it happened with so-and-so. And so by default, that person is angry with everybody. Sometimes we don't realize that the enemy is putting us in that place of anger, using somebody else's situation, until people start pointing out, wait a minute, what's wrong with you? What? Well, you acting different toward me now. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Because all before we was cool, but you're not talking to me like you used to. You're not joking around. You're not being all kind and affectionate. You talking this kind of stuff to me as if I'm the enemy. This is one of the warnings that the elders give to those who are considering interracial relationships. Because some folks, when they're going through many trials, they want to be around their own kind. I'm just going to put it out there. They want to be around their own kind. They don't want to be around that one who's saying it's okay, it's all right. No, it's not okay and all right. You don't know about the struggle. You really don't. You can go here. You can do this. You can do that. And everybody got a story, nationally as well as internationally. Certain communities that you can go to and you feel quite comfortable because your own kind is there. You see? But then when you take a person who is not that particular ethnicity and put them in a setting where those people are not their own kind, chances are somebody in that setting is going to say something, do something, look at them odd, what have you. Why is she here? Why is he here? And that's a fight. And then when you're in an interracial relationship, you got that fight on top of all the other things that you go through because you're simply different. Okay, different experience, different background, what have you. Unless you got similar backgrounds, unless you live in a community that's very embracing of all people. But if you don't, there's going to be the trials. Sometimes you're dealing with this sort of thing with your family members. Yeah, I love them as long as you love them. That's what my grandmother said when I was in an interracial relationship. That's what she said with the other relatives that were in interracial relationships. But the day that you don't love them, I don't love them. Okay? That was her take on it when you showed up with somebody who wasn't, the same ethnicity. But quiet as it's kept, old school did not particularly care for that. Okay? And this is why you had the friction in some of these families, because when the woman or man got involved in the relationship, it was me and you, baby. At least that's what you all said. And maybe for some people, they cut off a lot of their toxic negative associations, what have you. And maybe it really is me and you, baby. But oftentimes it's not just me and you, baby. If I get myself involved with somebody of a different ethnicity, sooner or later, I've got to deal with his family. And some people go into these relationships with their defenses up, attitude and all, walls up. I know how your type is because I seen your type looking at me at the restaurant funny, looking at me at the grocery store when we were walking. I saw your type. We were in the car together and, drove by and you were looking and looking and looking. Yeah, I know your type. So then you go to the family functions and now your walls are up and you looking around and you got this funky look on your face and you don't realize you got this funky look on your face. And anybody that even acts like they don't particularly care for you or what have you, your guard is up. And meanwhile, maybe it's just that they're trying to fill you out. But they see the ugliness in you. They see the defensiveness in you. And so therefore they mark you and say, I don't like her. But wait a minute, you didn't even get a chance to talk to her. I don't like her because I see the way she's looking at me. I mean, she got to understand. And I remember one particular relative said, she got to understand that you got a black family. She got to understand that. And that you are close to your black family. Now, she can come over here with this attitude all she wants. But she didn't just get involved with you. She got involved with all of us. Okay? And some of you all, irregardless of what your ethnicity is, and whoever your relative gets involved with, the understanding is that that person who's coming into the family must be respectful, even if they don't like what's coming out of people's mouths, even if they know that you got a bunch of prejudiced folks in your family. The point is that most people who get involved in interracial relationships know what they're up against. There's going to be a fight at some point with someone who don't like your kind. Okay? But just because there's that one or two or even a group of individuals doesn't mean that we're supposed to walk around here and say that everybody's messy. That whole ethnicity is whatever. And you got some folks that'll start cussing and fussing and acting up. You don't take your attitude out on others because you've been insulted. You don't mistreat people because that family didn't accept you. And then you got involved with another culture, creed, what have you, and they didn't accept you. And you had fights with this one and that one when you got involved with this guy. It's safe to say that if you don't have the type of personality for that sort of thing, you shouldn't be involved. Simply put. It's a fight for the Christian to be with the Catholic, or the Christian to be with the Jew, or the Christian to be with whoever from whatever nationality or religion. Okay? But that's who you chose. And so you have to figure out a way to still be that loving, kind, sweet person before you got involved with this family, or with that man, or with that woman of a different ethnicity, religion, culture, what have you. You create distance from those who simply don't support the relationship. And for some people, they had to get rid of everybody because nobody in that family was accepting. But then you have to look, was it really about the ethnicity, or was it about the attitude, or was it a combination of both? Maybe they weren't accepting because it wasn't about her skin tone. It was just, I didn't like her attitude. It wasn't about the fact that you was with this man because he's this ethnicity or that one. It's because he don't have a job. Or every time I turned around, he wasn't taking care of the family, or he was out there fussing, fighting, cussing. I mean, I wanted to believe that you had a good man. I wanted to believe that you had a good woman. But this one right here fits the stereotype. You see, you got those individuals that they just speak the truth, and all you can do is just nod your head and say, well, yeah, that's true. I mean, it didn't help the fact that he did have all these other poor character traits. I mean, Daddy already had a problem with the fact that he was this ethnicity. And then he wasn't a very successful, articulate speaking, wonderful to be around type of dude. So I guess he has a right to be that way. Exactly. So if you still love him and want him, then you create your distance then, because family members most often are not going to bend, especially when they see that their child or a relative is being mistreated by that particular person. But once again, we don't paint the whole group of people. You don't assume the worst. You don't assume the worst. Okay, so the sister, she ended up getting beat up by that guy who happened to be that ethnicity. But if she gets involved with another guy, don't assume that he's going to beat her too just because he's the same ethnicity. You see? You got those who simply will push everybody away. Nope. I'm sticking to my own kind. I'm going to move in a community where it's going to be pretty much us being the majority. Nope. I'm not going to be nowhere around them people. I got hurt by them people. Them people abused me, used me, messed with this one, that one. My family members went through with those people. I'm done with that group. And how are you going to minister and evangelize and do what it is that God has called you to when you have painted a broad brush or broad stroke with a wide brush on everybody because you have been hurt? You're putting limitations on God. And then when God does tell you to speak to that person of a different ethnicity and you say no, now you're being rebellious. Ostracize, isolate oneself. That's what people do. I've been hurt by that group and I want to stay clear away from them. Once again, pushing people away. And then it's not just about them singing that mantra, stay away, don't be around those people and all that. But they tell their children the same thing. And then their children, and then their children's children. See, look at the television. See how they act? Look at this show. That's that particular group. Just like there's different types of people in a particular group with different types of talents, skills, personalities, what have you. This is the case when one is seeking to be involved with someone. They don't have to be like those dudes on the television screen or the females in the video. Okay? Or the ones that you grew up with. Yeah, I know those type. I grew up with them. Well, times are changing. And you just might be wrong. You can't judge a book by its cover. Personal prejudice shows up. And a person who's unwilling to change their views doesn't want to see anything different than what their views tell them. They have a negative response, and that negative response reflects on all. All are impacted. A person like this may even have such a deep-rooted personal prejudice to the point where they wish evil. They may even pray evil types of prayers. They may even participate in all sorts of satanic types of occult, witchcraft, what have you, because those who are very determined for there not to be any type of association with those kind, they will go to great measures. You have some people that will say, I'm only dealing with those that are the bad people, the illegal people, the mean people, the nasty people, whatever adjective they want to put in front. But then, secretly, they want to round them all up. Secretly, they want to get rid of everybody that doesn't benefit them, that doesn't suit the agenda, that's not light enough, bright enough, good enough. And you have to watch. You have to watch. There are those individuals that's like this. But I thought we was only helping. I thought that we were, only helping this particular group based on these bullet points. But it looks like we're not really helping, but we're hurting. You got those individuals who do this sort of thing. And so when they get into, let's say, a personal relationship with someone, and that personal relationship benefits them in some way, suddenly, okay, I guess they're okay. They're all right. Because I've had this experience with this one person. But then you can't do that either. Because just because you had a great experience with this particular person doesn't mean that group, we can say everybody in that group are good people, wonderful people, great to work with. Because there are going to be those bad seeds. So you pray for those individuals who you come across. You pray for your family members who are in relationships. And you ask the Lord to be with each and every person. And if God wants certain people to be together, then it is what it is. Okay? If a relationship is blessed and anointed and favored by the Lord, it doesn't matter what you say or what you don't like. That relationship is going to blossom and it's going to be a blessing. Some people, the reason why they're going through as much as they're going through is because they only want to deal with this particular ethnicity and this one only, but you keep failing. And so maybe there's a sign that you should be branching out a little bit, talking to some other people, getting to know yourself through others, finding out a bit about your ancestry, you see. Because for some people, that's what they've done. They said, you know what, it's just not working out with my particular group. And it could be because you got your own personal woes that date back to your daddy or to your mom. And maybe that's why you mistreat your own kind. So there's a lot of things that are tied to past programming. There's a lot of things tied to current programming. There's a lot of negativity in media programming to push certain agendas. And we have to be mindful of these ways that the enemy plays a game or two on all of us to get us to act in very prejudiced ways, to assume the worst, to believe things that are simply not true about others, to paint a picture, a very broad picture of people, whether good, bad, or otherwise. Thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Subscribe today. Feel free to like, comment. If you haven't given, we do welcome any gifts, great or small. You can check the description box. Blessings to you.